So in this Arduino project, I'm basically using an IR remote and an IR sensor to control the RGB LED. And the way I set it up is I connect the sensor separately from that circuit board because it will generate noise once I press the button of the IR sensor and control the LED, which will cause not much noise, but it could interfere with the timing of when I press the button here. And the reason why I did this because earlier on, like today, I connected the IR sensor with the DC motor, and when I tried to turn it on with the remote, there was like a slight timing error where I had to press the button several times in order for the Arduino program to register. And because I opened the program while the motor was running, it disrupted the timing of the remote. And when there's like noise, when the motor produces a noise, it interferes with the signal coming in from the remote to the sensor, which causes an interference. So here I can demonstrate how this works. So if you look at the number pads, I can only change the color starting from 0, white, 1, red, 2, green, it should be green, 3 is blue, 4 is cyan, which is a combination of blue and green. Sometimes it takes a while to activate. 5 is magenta, which I believe is a combination of red and blue. It takes some time. Okay, red and blue. I just need to point this remote at the sensor to read it. And number 6 is green and blue, I believe. It's yellow, I think. Yeah, yellow. And from here, let's say I want to change the dimness and brightness of the LED. I simply press the button, the down arrow, to reduce the brightness. So you see, if I press it multiple times, it will change the brightness. Okay, so I'm going to press it now. You can see the brightness reduces as I keep clicking until it reaches blank. And to make it bright again, I just have to press the up arrow button to make it glow. So like this. See, it starts showing up when I press it once. And then when I press it up, it gets really bright. Okay, so now let's say I want to like turn it off. All I have to do is press the function stop button. Like that. And if I want to turn it on to where the color originally was, I just press the power button. Like that. And there's like a key feature I've added to this program, and that is the blinking code. So if I click on the volume, it will blink for like 100 milliseconds, which is pretty much 0.1 seconds. Yeah, so if I click that, hold up, it'll blink 10 times, but at a really fast rate. And if I click the volume minus, it'll blink but at a slower pace. So like this. See, the delay time for this blinker is about 1,000 milliseconds, which is equivalent to a second. And yeah. And to demonstrate what I've done in this code, here's what it looks like. See, I've added the IR pin, IR remote header, as well as a command and a pin to set everything up. And of course, you have to initialize the red, green, and blue light variables to get this program started. This is the pin mode output of the pin, since we're outputting the results. Notice that in the if-else statements, these CMD value represents the buttons, the hexadecimal buttons, numbers that correspond with the buttons. So let's say if I press 2 or 5 in this case, I would get the results of magenta. I would get these values here. And then once the if-else statements are executed, it would initialize the analog right down here. It would set the variables down here, and the analog right would read these and prints out the results. Now over here, to make the LED bright or dim, I simply use a variable, what I call a dim factor, which basically changes the multiplier of the number of the light, of the brightness. So if I go up here, see, if I press the value of the one that corresponds to the dimness, the factor would decrease by 0.1 since I set the factor to a maximum of 1. And the reason why I do that is because these dim factors can multiply the brightness of each RGBs. The thing about this is, if you subtract the value from 255 by 1, and it's 254, you can hardly tell if the light is actually dimmer or brighter. But if you change the value from 0 to 1 of the brightness, then you can clearly tell the difference, because 1 means it's already on. However, when I test run this code by subtracting it, it hardly makes a difference. So I was curious about the numbering. So that's why I used the dim factor to make sure that our human eyes can detect the difference in the dimness and brightness when utilizing the RGB. And over here, the CMD value for the volume plus and minus, all I did was use a for loop. Once we press the corresponding button that executes the blinking, all I did was run this 10 times, and analog right will read this value, some value, and for 100 milliseconds it will turn off, and then it'll turn on again, off, on, and off. Same goes here, but delay time is different. Okay. And I think that's pretty much it.